I'm going to say good morning, good morning. We made it to the end of January. Can you believe it? I can hardly believe it. My concept, my understanding of America. Okay, we all grew up and we all knew that the revolution shall not be televised. And what did that mean to you? The revolution not being televised, I can tell you. The awakening. The awakening happened. Truly, the awakening happened. And we all watched in amazement. We all watched in amazement at the insurgency at the White House. Yes, we did. And what can we say that the conversation shall be about the insurgency when George Floyd could have a law enforcement officer sit on his neck, his back, 3 people as he was supposed to be resisting arrest. Who watched the resist? Who saw the resistance? As I say, the awakening is happening. The personal responsibility for self-maintenance is, hey, welcome to America. And that's what it's all about. Self-maintenance. What do you know? How do you understand your personal responsibility for yourself? You know, don't tell me about talking to someone if they understand and they don't understand where we are in 2021. In 2021, we're on the bottom of the barrel. In Sacramento, Black Americans had the highest infant death mortality rate for the past 20 years. I didn't say 1 year. I said the past 20 years. Go look at it yourself. It's all online and all the data's online. 20 years having the highest infant death mortality rate for blacks, babies, for the ages of 0 to 17. What is that? Is that, I don't know what that is. It is a mental blockage because freedom has never been free. And what you don't understand is that the plantation is you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's praise day, right? But understand that in this moment in time, we as Americans have a personal responsibility to assume responsibility for what happened on January 6th. That's why Mitch McConnell just can't walk in there and say, okay, we're not going to pursue this with the president. And the Republican Party has to understand that this is one nation, and we are one nation under God, or we are no nation. And yes, we have governors, and we have mayors, and we have senators, and we have Congress member, and we have the whole social services, right? That's socialism right there. Congress, socialism, we pay their salaries. Medical, socialism, we pay their salaries. Public schools, socialism, we pay their salaries. What happens when we don't benefit? I can tell you. Our current president said he's going to end private prisons. What does that look like to you when you have to buy the top ramen and it costs $28 a case to send to your brother in the penitentiary? Okay? Food, phone calls, everything is contracted out. And then so is their services while they're in there. If they're firefighters, if they learn how to make license plates or put together computers, I really don't know. But contracts are run through prison industries. And who benefits? The United States government. So, what should we say about America? What can we say? And I said, I just really, really, really want to understand when I say that this is America. What is your expectation of America? What is your expectation of America? You have to run it back. Here we go. My question can come. I don't know how much you see of that, but what you don't know, everything you don't know can hurt you. If you don't follow the rules, it is painful. So here we are in 2021, and the harvest has been our children since 1964. We did have the Panther movement, and the Black Panthers were amazing black young men and so intelligent. They had their PhDs and they were, I mean, they were educated black men. Let's not pretend that our children were not being educated, but let's understand in the trade-off as we began to be involved in the, I don't know, maintenance of effort. We saw that they were working busy working. Hey, good morning, Anthony. My son's one of my children that I help to support. So, hey, Mom, that's what you say. But because you lived in my basement long enough. And life is good. Life is wonderful when you understand that the fight is yours. And so, I mean, you're young enough to be understanding that, hey, there you go. Hey, son. We're living in Vegas. You get to Vegas, you know you have to hit me up. But after COVID, okay? But, and I know you're missing your brother because ATL called him back. But you can always go visit. It's all good. I mean, I loved Atlanta when I was there. It's just a black city. It's a city where black people work. And that's just real. So here we are in 2021. If you have children, wake up because that is part of the plantation. Did you know we were still on the plantation? And what is the harvest? You are the harvest, as you do not control your environment. When we put our children in public schools, we have to understand that the expectation is to benefit. It is not to get the letter grade of F. It is not to have the conversation about your child not meeting grade level proficiency. No, it is all to have a conversation about what it should look like when you are benefiting and how to access those services so that we can be employable in 12 years. But you know, well, it's not, you have to understand that you are in control. I mean, you know, you understand because your father wasn't like an independent contractor, but the only work he could get is the work that he could hustle. And you boys all supported the family. And the opportunity to work in a unit as a family, to know how to make money, to know how to bring it home is critical. Because you know that some of your, you know, your buddies, they didn't get that kind of support. They didn't have family. And even though my sons didn't have fathers, they had your father. And I thank him for his investment in my sons. Because we are where we are because we did what we did. And that's just real. And I spent a lot of time in high school. And I went through high school with all of my sons. And for the people who didn't have the same opportunity as I, who didn't understand that failure was just never going to be an option, and you always have to advocate for the resources that you're supposed to be benefiting from. I mean, it's a benefit. I mean, as a citizen in America, we're supposed to benefit, not have others benefit on us. But I mean, you know, if you have to understand, okay, we came from slavery, and then we went through the Jim Crow eras, and I don't even want to think back about how many men were murdered alongside the road, because if we just understand that they are still publicly murdering black people and have no expectation that black people will just get tired of it. Well, you know, we all should be tired of it, because if we witness what happened at the Capitol on January 6th, the insurrection, and know that even police officers from Clark County, that says a whole lot, doesn't it? That says an extreme whole lot, because the kids here in Clark County are not, black children are not being successful, and they're being moved from an educational environment to a harvest, where they say that there's some socially providing them support for social and emotion. They're looking for mentors. And then all of a sudden you don't have any academic support. That kind of like went away. I'm trying to understand how they did it legally, because they're violating the law, and it's just real. We all live under one rule of law, and that's why we have Supreme Courts. But understand what Donald Trump did to the Supreme Court. How can we trust that people would put people there for their own benefit? And we all must watch to see what those justices did that had unstellar reputations. I mean, you know, come on now. That one with the K, he was horrible. And the allegation, and he shouldn't even, why did we have to listen to all of that negative stuff, because they shouldn't have put him through that, because they knew that shit was in his background. They knew it. And they still knew that they had the power to put him in there, and nobody can change that. Now, is that America? Yes, it is, because America had slavery. I mean, we were slaves in America, and it was just okay. But you need to understand that it was 1976, the year I graduated, that California paid the last money for the runaway slaves to the plantation owners in the South. Now, if California paid that money, that means it came out of our tax dollars, because we were in California, we were working then. And pimping ain't easy, but somebody made that decision. And we honored the decision, because we didn't say nothing about that. But we got to say something about this. We have to say something about black children being at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to public education. We have to say something about it's not working for our children. And we would like our children to have access to whatever, because that's our choice, because we live under a compulsory education system. But when you move to a town, a city like Las Vegas, having the 5th largest school district in the nation and being at the bottom, who's at the bottom? Negroes, black people, color folks, ADOS, Black Lives Matter, all on the bottom. And I don't care. So what? You got your little degree. And when you went over to the junior college, a lot of our kids found out that they were still at 5th and 6th grade reading level, and they needed to have the remedial support. What is remedial? K-12. It ain't even K-12. Remedial is K-6, because if you can't read, that's kind of like where you dropped off. And I'm sorry, because if your parent has to accept that you're not making progress, and then there's no opportunity for you to support your child, that's just not the truth. I can tell you, I understand what Cadillac education is, because my son Tyler had Cadillac education. That means that, and everybody I know who needed help had the ability to get that help. And why? How? Because they chose to stand up and fight the battle. And here it is, 2020, and we are getting ready to enter into, they have legislators that meet for 120 days here in Nevada, and they actually write all of the public policies when it comes to public schools. So they done wrote y'all Negroes into behavior programs, and I'm sorry, that's not an offer of a FAPE. It doesn't constitute continued employment. It doesn't constitute sustainable options. And even if young Negroes are working in the community with the partnership with the public schools, and you understand what bamboozled is, do you understand that you have been fooled? Because the harbor is not an educational program. No, it is a stopgap until you get to the penitentiary, because they're not, I mean, the support that you should be getting from the public school system, somehow it didn't make it to you. And then if your parent just said, okay, because they couldn't take off work no more, and they were getting called every day, because that seems to happen. And, and a lot of times kids just don't spend time in the classroom. And what are we talking about? Accountability. Well, we're talking about maintenance of effort and accountability for Title I dollars. Because we don't, in the federal government, we do not pay for people who have means to get an education. The state pays for folks who have means to get an education. Means, money. And the city, and those taxes help to support the children enrolled in public school system. And the federal government says, because we, the people, are the United States of America, we will educate immigrants, we will educate disabled children, and you, state, will give them the same opportunities as all children. Make it happen. I don't care how you make it happen, but this is America, so make it happen. So, the power is within you, but you must first awaken. Did you feel the revolution? Was it televised? Hell yeah, it was televised. We all watched the revolution, and it was televised. We just wasn't making it. We didn't cause the revolution. There are people here in America that still believe that we are a dual nation, and they are making choices that affect us because we somehow just don't get it. just don't understand how it works. I mean, I was on a meeting last night and I had taken all I could take. Simply, I'm going to tell you one time and one time only. If you are an elected official and you are black, you do not represent black people. That is not your job. That is not why you got that's not why you're sitting in the position. You are in the position to ensure that we are one America. And if you cannot make decisions based on the one America concept, I suggest that perhaps you should think about the job you hold and understand that the obligation is to understand the rules. The rules as we live under one rule nation, right? And due process is truly due process, and so is equal access due process. But you have a right to learn the task before they say that you're not making it. But for people who get to say this, they get to say, I'm sorry, your child just is making it. I'm going to have to hold them back. I'm going to have to fail them. Well, we'll just move them on, and, we'll try to work on it. And guess what? There ain't no catch up. My Negroes, no one catches up in public education, and that's just true. Don't say that. Somebody told me, I got all A's. Sister, you don't even know what you're talking about. I got straight A's. I said, okay. What grade level were you getting A's at? Because I know young black men who are in 8th grade who are doing 2nd grade work. And that is written in an OAH statement because I was a parent who took another parent to the Office of Administrative Hearings. And because her son was being suspended and had over 200 or 300 pages of willful defiance issues and was being sent home every day, but he had a 4.0. Oh. She said, oh, my son has a 4.0, girl. I said, oh, really? Can I see that? Got in there and got to understanding that he was doing 2nd grade work. He should have a 4.0 in the 8th grade, right? What are we doing and what have we done to our people? Insanity is real. How you analyze public services that we all pay for is through the maintenance of effort, and you must vote. And black people used to say, girl, I ain't got time for all that. Go ahead on, girl, you do you, but I got my man, I'm doing my thing, hey, my thing. Okay, we all still have to live here. And it just doesn't matter that you have had an opportunity to make it, because we all are not making it. And when you have to hear stories of children who give up, it's painful. And when you have to hear stories of children who are, going to the parents for help, but, what kind of help can the parent give if the parent can't read themselves? And this is generational. Because, as I state, I am 62, and I don't have any grandkids yet, but one on the way, and I have one adopted granddaughter now. Yes, that's my granddaughter. And because my son has a child on the way. And what a blessing, what a blessing. Finally going to be a grandma at 63. And that's real. So, by the time the baby is here, I will be 63. But America, what a wonderful country. What an awesome opportunity to educate yourself. Don't believe me. No, don't understand that I know what I'm talking about. But I suggest you go and get on ed.gov or go to your state's Department of Education's website and start educating yourself about the people who look like you, because the responsibility for the oversight of the people who look like you are the people who are paying taxes, and they look like you. Shades, shades, shades. The reality is that we don't understand America. Why would we? Our people were enslaved here, and the struggle has always been so real. Real by saying what? Real by saying that in America, you truly, truly, truly have to understand that you are responsible for yourself, truly. And you're responsible for your children, truly. And accessibility and who we are, and the public education system and the public services are our community's responsibility. But in our community, it's so fragmented. And the joke is that we like crabs in the barrel, each one climbing on each one's back, trying to get over the next one. And that's so true. You will have people who talk about you, and it really doesn't matter because they don't know who you are. And it really doesn't matter because my mother taught me a long time ago that if they're not providing support for you, then let them be, because everybody got an asshole, just like everybody has an opinion. Good luck. But the world only works in one manner, in America. And you're going to find out that there has been a rule of law, and always has been a rule of law in America. As this whole next 4 years is going to be about violations of the rules and the processes. But let's not understand, let's pretend that we don't know that we live under a system of states' rights. And what states' rights really mean. What is states' rights? States' rights is in Nevada, because they get the money for the federal government, they get the money for the neglected and delinquent, they get the Title III money, they get the Title VI money, they get the federal dollars. And they claim they have a waiver, but the only waiver I was ever able to find is a USDA waiver, and that helps you to feed your children who are hungry and homeless and immigrants. But understand, we need to understand where the concept of SNAP came from. SNAP benefits came from the Black Panthers. Okay, why do we still have black liberationists in prison? Why are we still criminalizing our people for trying to organize our people? What a blessing Obama gave us, and the model he gave us, because he's still building in Chicago. Why is there so much political things going on in Chicago? Because they have educated black people in Chicago, and they know they have rights. Human rights is what we're talking about. Human rights, because we're talking about 15,000 homeless youth on the streets of Nevada every night. And I just want to ask you, were we included in the census? Did we get the money for neglected and delinquent? Did we get the money for Title I children? And how many kids are we graduating? Oh, we said we increased the graduation rates. Congratulations, Jara. But what he didn't tell you is the number of children who graduated with those substandard diplomas. You know, the ones that didn't get the standard diploma. They have a standard diploma, which is probably equal to, not high school, maybe 8th grade, I don't know. But it's still below grade level. And then they have this career diploma. It's different. And then they have like one that goes to the university, that kind of diploma, AP. And then they have an alternative diploma. My friend, how many black children are caught up in the alternative diploma? Because if they didn't have enough minutes in the game, we talking about minutes, time in the game, then you couldn't get a regular high school diploma. They even have it written how they decide how children who are in special education actually can still qualify for a diploma. No, in California it's different. In California you're still American if you know you are an American citizen. And you have a right to reach those same standard as a non-disabled child. So all of those resources are just provided. Of course, they're provided if you know you have a right to have those resources, and that's just real. But resources are not provided if you don't know you have a right to them. And every time you sign the paper saying that you agree, and even if you don't agree, you sign the paper saying you agree, well then, I don't know how you expect change. I mean, this whole partnership with the juvenile division, the prison juvenile division, says that y'all have the prison pipeline going here, and it wouldn't be my child. No. When my son first started school, they didn't know what kind of disability he had. And I didn't either. I just knew that he didn't talk a lot, but he knew exactly what I was telling him every time I said, go turn the light on for mommy. He'd run over there and turn the light on. Or go get this for mommy. He'd run over there and do it. I mean, he understood. He had concepts. But the way his brain processes information, I didn't know how he didn't have the ability to coordinate language. Because he, when I was working in a toxic environment. I was working in Los Rios Community College District at Cosumnes River College, where they had the mailroom, where they had the huge copiers that were in there. And I had no idea that working in that environment would help to cripple me in time. But that's okay. I'm living in Nevada now where medication is legal. And I'm just like Snoop. Okay, it's all good. I can smoke weed every day and still function. So here we are, 2021. And the struggle is not the struggle anymore because freedom has never been free. So what do you do? How do you commit your time to looking and analyzing the benefits of living in America, in the city that you live in? I mean, there's a young man called Van Mays. I'm not exactly sure, but there are a lot of young people on my Facebook page, or people my age, that are making a difference in the communities they live in. They've committed time to trying to understand services for their people and why perhaps things aren't working. But if you don't know why early education and the programs of early education in your community is not focused on the children who look like you, understand somebody's still getting paid to make that happen. All those teachers who were going to Europe and on cruises, they're getting paid with your tax dollars. You're gonna pay. Hell, Mike Tyson was paying taxes all the way up until this is the first year thank you, Mike, for coming out and paying them taxes. That's what I'll say. Because finally you voted and you understand the power of the vote. As we all made a difference when we got Biden Harrison, right? Kamala is a real force to be reckoned with. And that's just real. HBCU, she had the life. She had the life that any young person would want to have. She had the dream life, and she understands the commitment that America has made to the people. And so did all those insurgencies, those people who said that they were speaking for you. And they are I'm trying to understand why we needed to accept this when we have to accept murder of our people still. We can't have a conversation in Congress about open murders on the street of black young men and all the dual murders in jails, in jailhouses. Don't you understand that our people have been here for 400 and something years, and we have fought in every war, and we have paid our taxes, and we have paid our dues, and therefore Obama created this opportunity for us to continue to gather. As that was one thing that white people knew, that if they could keep us apart, then they can continue to control us. If you didn't have to learn what you had a right to have, you would gladly sign it off. And that's what's been happening for years and years and years. And don't you understand that freedom has never been free? How is it that we have been talking about planning a leadership conference with community organizations here in Clark County for black people, and we've been planning on what a leader is? Well, wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed. There you go. It's time to think ahead. I mean, we really have heard the message over and over in the music, and now the music is not sharing. I mean, of course, Nipsey. Hey, Nipsey was a miracle, is what he was. And Marathon Records and the concept of marathon clothing and the concept of organizing and empowering young people so that they understood. I mean, they knew that when they were going to school, they weren't getting educated. No, they were holding them, just as they hold them here. And that's how come at 8 years old, they probably have children in the harbor that are 8 and 6 years old. How did they get in the harbor program? What is the harbor doing for them? How are they measuring the maintenance of effort with those children? What is so different about those children? Oh, behavioral infractions. Well, how do they try to even teach them the concept of culture? I don't know. Social emotional learning is not learning. Learning is whatever you've accepted. And as long as you have a relationship with the public school system and you accepted failure, please don't, I mean, don't act like I don't know what I'm talking about. Hell, all my kids graduated high school. That's all I can really tell you. And I can tell you that failure is never an option, and we have rights. And there's a process, and the process has been established. And the process works. It actually works. All kids can learn something. And you know they can learn something. Hell, if they can play the damn video games, they can learn. Well, my podcast is on Anchor. Please like, subscribe, and share. And I have a YouTube channel, and I have a Facebook page, and I have a Twitter page, and I have a Spotify, and I'm on Apple Podcasts. Share with your family, friends, whatever. Get a concept, understand why I am like I am. And, you know, and my journey, because your journey is yours, and I don't know your journey, but I know my journey. I damn sure know my journey. And no, I don't need to talk to, I attended the leadership conference that was held here about 2 years ago. Seems like 2 years ago, where all the top leaders from the NAACP held a conference here. And the baddest, boldest person over the NAACP only brought her own self. That's the only person who came, because I paid my dues, and then I paid the $150 or $100 to go to the conference out of my pocket. No, I'm not rich. No, I'm on, you know, I get a limited income, but it was worth it to me to go and witness what I witnessed. How people are disempowered here, and how people seem to want to stand up and take all these wonderful people, pictures, photo ops. But if you could be in their meeting, and then your device commit an illegal operation in the middle of recording the meeting, as if that was not a public meeting, somebody just needs to help me with the nation that I grew up under. One nation under God, and the freedom of speech, and the freedom of religion, and the freedom of what? Pimping ain't easy, but goddamn, they do it well. So, no, they probably, my cell phone was heated up on the EMF. Go get that little program, EMF, so that you can check your devices in your home to see what's kicking out that extra EMF waves. And it's very dangerous. But guess what? Amazingly, those waves don't come out of the phone like that all the time. So someone can control it. How frightening. How frightening it is. But you know, I don't have to lie. Just go look at my little video on my Facebook page and see what my iPad was doing. So I probably shouldn't be using that. You know, like a little personal, you know, I don't know. I'm not trying to bring damage or harm to myself. Really, I'm not. And I know that Malcolm and Martin and Medgar and Jimmy Baldwin, and, you know, we've had so many black intelligent men and women, and Maya Angelou, and, I mean, you know, come on now. Cicely Tyson. She was just a queen. And she had queen behavior. And with so many of our people don't have clean behavior anymore. And you know, WAP is real. WAP, 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 hey, WAP. And you just go on TikTok and see what the WAP looks like. And I know what it means. But you have to assign it a different letters, recognition, but it only still means the same thing. What men desire always. And that's just real. So, I don't know. Will we make it this time? Are we going to make it to a public meeting? Or are we going to continue to, we need to all call the governor's office. We need to all understand why black children are failing in Clark County, Las Vegas, Nevada. Why they couldn't reach so many young children. Understand, they're bringing the children back. The kindergartners through third grade. Preschool, they're looking for preschool children that they never had space for. I mean, I met so many young black women, and I said, is your child in school yet? They said, no. I try to get them in, they don't have space. And I said, well, girlfriend, I said, did you know they have online schools? Don't do without, because they do have online schools. Wake up, America. You know, Mr. West, Kanye West, he's awakened. He understood his power. You understood it too. Y'all buy his music. Pimpin' ain't easy. Snoop ain't got time to deal with your niggas. But hey, y'all partying to his music, right? Amen. Who else is out there? I mean, there's just Drake, and there's just so many young artists that are really not talking about building back better. And we need to all have the conversation about what it looks like to build back better in public education in 2021 for black children, since Black Lives Matter. And that needs to be our conversation, not theirs. But how do we continue to allow them to continue to run this plantation? Revolution, please understand, we are living the revolution. Should we televise it? It's being televised every day. Every day you see a new black young man being murdered publicly, and understand when they're not deciding that they're going to investigate the murders. And we use, what do you call these, grand juries. Who's on the grand jury? Clans? People who have money and means, who are not your peers, and who would find you guilty in a minute because they fear you, because they know they haven't educated you, and you might be hungry just like them. But when we understand the power that they have in the new marijuana market, Mary Jane, hey, y'all remember Mary Jane, and then you remember in the 60s, and you remember the people who went to penitentiary behind marijuana, and they weren't going to the jailhouse and penitentiary behind cocaine, no, but for crack cocaine, yeah. But now we are in a crisis when we're talking about the opiates and the number of people who are stuck on drugs in the Midwest, in the Middle Eastern states, Virginia, stuff like that, South Carolina. When we have to talk about harvest, we need to understand what harvest is. And we need to understand that the opportunity to take those babies at the border and give people jobs was real. And they divided those families and sent the parents back to MY because we were going to educate the children anyway, because immigrants have a right to education here in America. And we educate. And we have money for bilingual children, as they have Victory and Zoom schools here. And maybe a few kids are in these programs, a few of our intelligent black kids. We've always had talented kids. We've always had black people that would excel. We've always had gifted and gifted children and gifted people, Michael Jackson and Prince, and they're no longer here. But the money that they were making, and Prince had wearing the sign on his face that represented what? He was not a slave. He had to fight, and when he finally got his rights to his music, and they released him, and he started to sign with Tidal, and he started bragging about all that money, music that they had produced, that he didn't feel that the people who he used to work for had access and should have rights to it. But guess who has the rights to it now? Help me with that. Same people who had the rights to his music before he died. And then he died so mysteriously, right? Even though he just performed and everybody witnessed what an amazing performer he was. All of a sudden he OD'd. Okay, that don't look like a drug addict to me. Michael was working hard, and his body was just amazingly thin, frail, whatever. He wasn't that frail. He was an amazing man at my age. I'm happy to still not be overweight, but he was not overweight, and amazingly, he was fine. And everybody knows it, and everybody loved him. And his music did not portray the mental health issues that someone would have to have in order to be doing that kind of behavior. And really, whose business is it? People put their children in positions. Lord help me with Backyard Party, R. Kelly, because those people who were involved in all of that knew exactly what they were into. And there are young women that start relationships way earlier than that was going on. But the people, the families that were involved were all benefiting until they got shut out and they got upset. Oh well, they have him locked up because they get to do that, because they want to control his money. You better go check out his videos and see how many white people you see producing or working in, or even in any of the videos. I haven't seen one white person yet. I've worked so hard. Looking at all his videos. I love his music, and I think we all do. But they were there to do what? Nope. I may be critical, but there's no time to waste. The conversation must be, and I guess we don't have to come together. No, we don't. You are empowered on your own to question the soundness of public education for your children. So no, we don't even have to get in the same room, because apparently we cannot do that, because everybody knows a little bit something that's a little bit different. But the responsibility for self means that you need to call your governor and find out find out just what's happening to the black children. Why do they have so many black children in those harbor programs? Please help me with that. How are they providing education to those children? And what is the maintenance of effort? I don't care what you do as long as you're making it work. But if you ain't making it work, and so many of my people are going to penitentiary, and then you want to talk about them like they're animals living on the street, oh no, it's just unacceptable. Because see, you still want to use people like Diana Ross and Monique and people who would come and get Regency and perform on the strip to bring money to who? You. Because you still pay those taxes to the federal government. And that's the money that comes back here to provide those services. My son went away, getting kind of chilly in this corner. Well, I know one thing. My phone is not going to die because I've got it all charged up, and it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm going to put some exercise on the exercise bike for a little bit. May come back for a little bit. But catch me on Anchor. Go through the different programs. I talk about something different every day. I do love myself. Make no mistake about that. And I love my children. I love my family. No matter how dysfunctional they are, I have love for my people. No matter how dysfunctional they are. And it just doesn't matter. Because the power you're looking for is the power within yourself. Wake up, my family. You have the power to change the direction in which we move in 2021. Because your voices must be heard. Because we do pay taxes. And if they continue to ignore us, it's like taxation without representation. And that's just something that is unheard of in America. As we are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And it's just not for us, right? Yes, justice. Because at the end of the day, when we have to go to court, and they want us to go to court, how asinine that we would have to go to court to prove that they're not doing the job that they should be doing, when it is the federal government's obligation, when they give them the money, to demand a level of accountability or take the money back. But see, they've given them so much time under states' rights, and they've been screwing your people for so long, and you don't even know that you don't know what you need to know to change the game. I do. That's why my foot can't get off the neck of the people who are implementing the free services for themselves and denying access to the people who look like me. And foolishly, they have allowed that to happen. But the happy day is over. You know? Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When you woke up, when you woke up, when you woke up, hey, you can change the world today. So know that. That's your vision. Envision your freedom. Don't let your children get letter grades of that. Ask for the evaluations and why your child's not learning. Understand that they have to provide a real opportunity to learn, and then they have to make that happen. Make it work. Just make it work. I don't care how you make it work. Make it work for your children. Wake up, America. Understand. Get to where Mr. West is. You know? Because he loves us so. And he should. Till we meet again. Put some skin in the game. Get like Nipsey. Continue to build. And understand that we possess everything we need to do to change the game. But we have to choose to question the process. And when you start questioning the process, they can scurry around and try to say what they're willing to do because they're willing to follow the law. Yes, they are. Because they don't want to lose that Title I money. They don't want to lose those federal dollars, because those federal dollars come from workforce investment. Why do you think that the promise was to offer vocational rehabilitation and give people opportunities that were not meeting the minimum standards of high school diploma? Okay, that was written in ESSA. Why don't you listen to the Every Child Succeed Act? Hell, just download it and you can have your reader, Adobe, read it to you if you don't want to read. We all need to wake up. We all need to understand that the power of change is within our hands. But we, everyday, ordinary person who don't sit on a committee, who's not been elected to be over a group, well, the people that are in those positions are the people that need to give you the power to share your concept. But when they want to hog the stage and be the one to take the pictures, and aren't we doing such a wonderful job, and look at us over here, and aren't we just so, but then the kids are committing suicide, and then the kids are not graduating. And then what is the purpose to have an organization when you cannot bring about simple change? Just simple change. No, I don't need to talk to anybody who don't understand that it is me that matters, because I understand the game. And if you're sitting in a position to have the ability to change the game, but you won't let enough people come in the room because you're so special, help me with the specialness. Well, until we meet again, like, follow, subscribe. Don't follow me. Don't follow me at all. Just get on the website of the Department of Education, read about the number of black children who are going to the penitentiary. Understand that in California, we have the highest infant death mortality rate, and have had that for 20 years. And so don't be alarmed when you understand that here in Clark County, they have an 80% incarceration rate for black folks, and that they would fear putting white people in juvenile hall, and they would have to stay at home on their ankle monitors. Where's the justice in that? But when they could say it publicly and then edit your video, that's America, I know. So, oh, Russia arrests 4,000 nationwide protests. Okay, so they're not allowed to protest, and that's what was going on. We were not being allowed to protest for our rights when when Trump was in office, because Obama let us protest, and they brought their guns to Obama's, when he was out there. I mean, they came with guns in hand, and they were coming guns in hand right now in the Capitol, and that just cannot continue, because guess what? We all witnessed that they were trying to take over our government, and we're not going to have an insurgency. No, we're going to be a one America. So wake up, America. Get like Mr. West. Till we meet again. This is Darlene Anderson. I'm signing out. Y'all have a great day.